The first thing people think about when they think of a large carnivorous dinosaur is teeth. How big were they? How many did they have? Etc. In today's video, we're going to be looking at carnivores and how their teeth differ from one another. Just like today, many different types of carnivores had different types of teeth depending on their niche. And while I will talk about a lot of them in this video, I won't be able to cover everything. Definitely the most famous dinosaur teeth belong to Tyrannosaurus rex and its family. In fact, apart from its size, its biggest claim to fame are these bone-crunching teeth. Tyrannosaurus rex itself had extremely specialized teeth even compared to the rest of its family. T-Rex actually has two different types of teeth, making them heterodonts. The first type of tooth they have are these incisiform teeth near the front of their jaw. These teeth were more chisel-like and were closely packed together to prevent them from snapping and allowing the T-Rex to hold on to its prey much better. The rest of their teeth are what are often referred to as lethal bananas. These are the gigantic 12-inch teeth that you might have seen before. They've been called this because these teeth are not necessarily what you'd consider normal. Instead of being thin and blade-like like most carnivore teeth, their teeth were actually more circular almost, kind of an oval shape. No matter which tooth we're talking about, both types of tyrannosaur teeth have these ridges that run along the back. These ridges help reinforce the tooth and allow them to be much stronger overall. These teeth, in conjunction with many other features of the skull, would allow Tyrannosaurus rex to have the most powerful bite force of any dinosaur yet known, reaching over 12,000 pounds per square inch. And just so you have an idea of what that kind of bite force is like, I'd like you to watch this next clip.
Let's see how a 20th century icon stands up to an icon of a very different era. Now, this may be fanciful, but it is not an exaggeration. It's been scientifically calculated that a real, live T-Rex could have done damage like that.
So how would these 60 bone-crushing teeth actually play into a Tyrannosaur's feeding strategy? Did they actually need these kind of teeth? Well, yes, actually. You see, a Tyrannosaur would need to end its hunt relatively quickly because most of the time what they're hunting is something too fast for them or incredibly armored, so they would need a bite force capable of ending a hunt in one blow. It seems like Tyrannosaurus rex got that feature from earlier tyrannosaurs such as Daspletosaurus, but it seems that not all tyrannosaur teeth are the same. A pair of Asian tyrannosaurs known as Eleoramus and Tarbosaurus have a different mechanism for feeding than Tyrannosaurus, even though their teeth are relatively similar overall. As opposed to crushing through bones, it's thought that Tarbosaurus would hunt sauropods and other enormous animals. In the back of their jaw, they have a locking mechanism, which would allow them to hold onto their prey much better, differing from North American tyrannosaurs in this way. It's thought that this feature developed so that Tarbosaurus could better hunt sauropods, as they were much more abundant in Asia at that time compared to North America. You know, if we're talking about unique teeth, it'd be a little odd if I didn't mention the Spinosaurid family at all. Instead of having knives or bananas for teeth, Spinosaurus had cones, relatively pointy cones, but still cones. These type of teeth are much better suited to aquatic prey, as they can get very slippery and slimy. These type of teeth, with their shape and the grooves within them, would allow Spinosaurid to hold on to any of those slippery fish that tried to get away. As opposed to other carnivores, Spinosaurids had a relatively long and slender jaw. This jaw would be much better at dipping into water to catch said aquatic prey. Spinosaurid jaws weren't necessarily designed for strength, they're more designed to be sort of a trap for aquatic animals. While its jaws weren't designed for strength like many other carnivores, Spinosaurus also had a special adaptation in its snout to be able to help it hunt. These specialized sensors are actually specialized foramina? I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that, I'll be honest. Either way, these specialized pits would allow Spinosaurus to detect movement in the water, like a crocodilian, except that crocodilians have significantly more foramina than Spinosaurus does, and would allow them to detect prey much better than any Spinosaurid. Foramina are naturally occurring holes within the bone, and in crocodilians it allows them to connect pressure sensors on the surface to detect movement within the water around them. And just for clarity's sake, there is no direct evidence of these pressure sensors in other Spinosaurids other than Spinosaurus itself. But based on what we know about related animals, there is a high probability that the animals most closely related to Spinosaurus may have also shared these features, but we would need more research to confirm that. But the most common type of teeth in large carnivorous dinosaurs are blades. Blade-like teeth are most common in Carnosauria, in animals like Giganotosaurus, Allosaurus, Megalosaurus, those kind of dinosaurs. As opposed to Tyrannosaurid teeth that were adapted for crushing, or Spinosaurus teeth that were adapted for gripping, Carnosaurian teeth were designed to be blade-like, so they could cut through flesh much easier. Most of these animals, like Giganotosaurus or Allosaurus, would have been much better adapted to slicing chunks out of their prey, considering that most of the time they likely hunted sauropods. But they likely wouldn't have hunted sauropods in the way you think. According to most current research, they likely just sliced hunks off and may have left the entire sauropod alive, considering it would have been hard for them to kill even a single one. But that's mostly for Carcharodontosaurs like Giganotosaurus and Mapusaurus themselves. Allosaurus, as well as many of its relatives, were actually referred to as groundhogs. The reason for this is because of the method they choose to capture prey, not relying on their jaws. Instead, they would likely use their arms or legs to capture and hold down prey, then using their teeth to deliver the final slicing bites to actually finish it off. This method is what earned them the nickname groundhogs. I wanted to put extra emphasis on the groundhog part of things because a lot of folks are still stuck on the idea that Allosaurus used its head like an axe, swinging back and forth to deal slashing damage to its prey. Even I was a victim of this in the past. So I just wanted to clarify that the axe head theory is long since outdated, and if you saw my early YouTube short on Allosaurus, then I'm sorry that I was wrong in that video. I would also like to note that while Tyrannosaurus rex teeth were specifically designed to crush bone, that other dinosaurs' teeth could still do the same, just not as effectively. Here is a fantastic example of that.
Fire.
Notosaur did really well.
Well, it lost osteoderms, broke those off. That's a sustainable loss. The keratin, it can regrow.
Are we bleeding at this point?
I mean, it'd be some bleeding. Let's give it another bite. See what happens if she took a second bite.
All right. Watson.
3, 2, 1, fire.
Oh.
Okay. That's now just a fountain of blood. You can see the ribs. There are the ribs.
Yep.
This is the connective material on the ribs. That's a rib right there, right? And it's, oh my God, Michael, the rib is shattered.
But blade-like teeth aren't exclusive to the Carnosauria. Other animals, including the Dromaeosaurids or the raptors, also had knife-like teeth that were better suited to cutting than anything else. But just like Allosaurids, the main hunting tool of raptors weren't their teeth. Currently, it's assumed that most raptors use what's known as the RPR, the Raptor Prey Restraint Model, to hunt and kill their prey. In this model, Dromaeosaurids would leap onto the back of their prey and sink their claws in. Now, contrary to popular belief, Dromaeosaur claws aren't actually great for a slashing motion. Rather, they're great for a gripping motion or a hooking motion. They're great to sink in and stab, not really great to rip things apart. After sinking in their claws, the raptors would hold onto the back of the prey animal and continuously deliver bites with their jaws. This way, it would weaken the animal and over time cause it to exhaust itself. So while they weren't necessarily the main tool, the teeth were still incredibly useful in their hunting, and the slashing bites would have caused the animal to bleed a lot more than just sinking their claws in. Some relatives of raptors didn't share this same trait. The Unenlagini, as well as the Halscaraptorines, had more needle-like teeth as opposed to blades. Like Spinosaurids, their teeth were conical in shape, albeit at a much smaller scale and usually quite a bit thinner. This, like Spinosaurids, would also have been an adaptation to catching aquatic prey. You can kind of think of them like geese or swan with teeth. You know, on second thought, maybe don't think of them that way. No one needs to be exposed to that level of horror. I don't know, maybe we'd get lucky and they wouldn't actually be as aggressive as geese or swans, but knowing us humans, we never get that lucky. As you can see, there are many different types of dinosaur teeth, and I haven't even covered all of them yet. I've barely even scratched the surface, and that's just carnivores. Other animals, like herbivores, had significantly different teeth, but we'll talk about that in a different video. So let's summarize everything here, shall we? Tyrannosaur teeth are designed for crushing their prey, and T-Rex itself has 60 teeth. Spinosaurid teeth were designed for capturing and holding onto their prey. Spinosaurus itself has about 74 teeth. Carnosaurs like Allosaurus and Giganotosaurus, as well as Dromaeosaurids like Velociraptor, had knife and blade-like teeth. Velociraptor had about 30 itself, Giganotosaurus had about 64, and Allosaurus had up to 70. And I'll be honest, I couldn't find tooth counts for the Unenlagini like Austroraptor, so I'm gonna say they have at least 4. As always, these changes were all driven by evolution and dependent on the animal's circumstances and what they needed to survive better in their given time period. As opposed to popular belief, this doesn't necessarily make one of these feeding or hunting strategies or these designs of teeth better than the other. They just happen to be better for that specific animal in the specific environment that it evolved into. As with all evolution, these changes took place over time to better cope with the animal's need to survive, which is why many of them eventually didn't survive anymore. Of course, it's true that many dinosaurs died as a result of some kind of extinction event, like the one at the end of the Cretaceous, but many other dinosaurs didn't die from that, but rather from a lack of evolution, just like many species today. But what does teeth have to do with extinction? Well, with a lot of these animals, their teeth were over-specialized, and not just their teeth, but a majority of the rest of their body too. Spinosaurus is a great example of this, and when these animals over-specialized, as their environments changed over time, they just couldn't quite keep up. And again, that's not necessarily to say that their teeth were worse than anyone else's, it's just that their teeth were designed for something very specific, and when that thing went away, they just couldn't cope with that change. And you know, with how many different types of teeth dinosaurs had, I find it extremely funny that modern dinosaurs, birds, have gotten rid of their teeth altogether in favor of beaks. Teeth are incredibly small things, but they hold so much variation in such a little package. And just the pure amount of variation that dinosaurs possess is one of the many reasons they are just absolutely amazing creatures.